Pulp MX Network production.
EVS Sports brings you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly on the LVK More Than Moto podcast. Here's your hosts, Lewis Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Yeah, welcome everybody into episode 3 of EVS Sports' LVK More Than Moto podcast. Lewis Phillips is here from Vital MX. I'm Kellen Brauer from RacerX. Lewis on his phone as the show starts, very excited to join us here today to talk about moto stuff, more than moto stuff, and get into a lot of different topics that hopefully we did not hash out on the Pulp Show. We're going to try to make it a little bit different because there's already been a lot of us this week.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Kellen in my life.
Oh, boy.
But I'm not complaining. That was not a complaint. That was a sincere statement of gratitude.
Well, thank you. I mean, I enjoy having your company. I thought it was fun last night on Pulp.
Yes, thank you. I enjoyed your company as well, Kellen. Thank you.
Yeah. Real quick before we get into our sponsors, and a big thanks to them. San Diego, another kind of half mutter thing situation, I guess. I'm sick of the mud. Are you?
Yeah, although the mudder in recovery was very interesting because it was so techie that it really put the riders to the test. So I like that.
Yeah. I was surprised how many riders have said that they felt it was a dry track, though.
It was dry
in the main event. Dry is a relative term because the second you got off of the dry line, it was not dry.
Well, no, there were riders using different lines.
Yeah.
It was just techie.
Yeah.
I didn't see much sloshing about in the main event.
Not much sloshing about, that's true. So we'll get into a couple topics in regards to that from San Diego. Before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to EVS Sports. Over the past 39 years, EVS Sports has established themselves as leaders in innovation and technology when it comes to designing protection gear for today's motocross riders. Athletes like RJ Hampshire, Kyle Chisholm, Freddie Norn, Axel Hodges, and Travis Pastrana all wear EVS when they race, ride, or whatever Travis decides to do that day. Check out evs-sports.com to gear up like the pros and use the code LVK30 to save on anything from knee protection to shoulder braces. We also want to thank Namura for presenting this show, the leading provider of engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades. Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring your vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2024 and beyond. Stay up to date by following us on Instagram at Namura_technologies. And lastly, of course, presenting the show, Race Tech Suspension. They will also bring you guys the fan question of the week this week as well. And for 40 years, Race Tech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. For modern to vintage, Race Tech is your go-to source for suspension performance. Big shout out to those guys for bringing you guys LVK More Than Moto episode number 3. So Lewis, we've got ourselves kind of 3 moto topics we're going to get into, and we're going to change the format a little bit this week and have the More Than Moto stuff at the end. We also have that fan question, which is going to be kind of more of a moto topic as well. But as you and I talked about on the Pulp Show, we're still kind of learning this format of the podcast, and we wanted it to not feel like a review show, so that's why we had the More Than Moto stuff in the middle. But we'll put it at the end so that, if you want to tune out after that, then you can, right?
Yeah, it's a fluid situation.
Yeah.
Ever changing.
Because we like talking about the More Than Moto stuff.
Honestly, I enjoy it more.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair. But now that maybe makes it good because then we can really dig into it at the end of the show instead of feeling like we're jumping between topics, right?
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
But I do think it was good for us to do it near the beginning to start with, just to make it clear that this is not necessarily a moto podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start off with our moto topics this week. And the first one is, it's a moto topic, but it is more of a not racing specific topic, I guess is how you would phrase this one. And it's media kind of answering their own questions. When you go to ask a rider, you obviously have a question in mind and you want to see what their opinion is on something. But I feel like, and you'll get into this a little bit further, it seems like the media sometimes will kind of answer the question for the rider and expect the rider to add to that. And we kind of need to be better about that.
Yeah, so we stole this topic from the Vital MX forum, a place where sane people go to spend their time. And it's a good topic. I enjoy topics like that because it sheds some light on what essentially our customers want. That's because we're providing a service at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm sure I speak for you as well when I say that I want to be better. So seeing people critique my style or just the media style in general is genuinely fascinating. And it is interesting because I do that occasionally. I don't think I'm one of the worst in the industry for it, but I do it occasionally. Sometimes by design, because sometimes I'll do it to get a more pointed answer.
Right.
And I guess in a way that's me having a lack of faith in the rider I'm interviewing, because I'm like, I'll ask the first part and I'll subconsciously go, well, they can go so general and vague with this. I better really narrow this down to basically give them nowhere to go.
Yep.
But then I guess that's different because that's where there are almost two instances, because you could answer the question by saying, hey, Kellen, tell me about your morning. It was great, right? And then you are really pigeonholed and all you can say is yes.
Yeah.
Whereas if I said, hey, Kellen, tell me about your morning.
It's open-ended.
I'm sure, or if you could even add, I'm sure it was great. That's a little more, there's a little more room there, you know?
Yeah.
And you're kind of still answering your own question. But yeah, maybe sometimes I do it just purely by mistake, and I kind of get myself in a little bit of a huff and kind of have to swim upstream to get myself out of the question.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten better at that, but like I did it on press day. So my first question to Eli was, tell me how the Eli Tomac who stands before me is different to the Eli Tomac from 12 months ago. He gave a very Eli answer.
Yeah.
And I then rebutted his answer with more content, perhaps, which essentially was me answering the question.
Yep.
But I kind of did it to double down and like, no,
and get more info out
your
of it.
first answer wasn't what I wanted, and then his answer was much better.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the gist of that vital thread is that they just want the media to, if you have a topic, be concise. Like if you want to know about their bike, ask about their bike. Just be like, what do you like about your bike? Instead of saying like, so we know you're on the 48 millimeter forks and all this stuff like that. Or in the Chase and Webb situation from San Diego, you just go to Webb or you go to Chase and you say, what's your take on the situation? Don't inject, obviously you were frustrated, Cooper, but how did it feel when Chase did that? And then he's like, well, yeah, I was frustrated. So you kind of, like you're saying, you just give them the answer before they even get a chance to answer the question. And like that vital thread said, like, leave it open-ended. Let them decide the path they want to choose.
Yeah, essentially, you either give them the answer and give them nowhere to go, or you give them a possible answer. That's better, because you give them a possible answer and it's like, this is kind of how I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I agree, I disagree.
Right, because like, sorry to cut you off, but I feel like sometimes we almost have to like let them know that we are aware. Like if you just ask them a hard question, sometimes they'll answer with like a very basic answer to be like, well, I don't even know if you're aware of that situation, so let me dumb it down for you. Like sometimes in the more technical stuff, you have to be like, so I know that the team decided to go this route or whatever. Can you explain further?
Yeah.
But like, we're just like letting them know that, we want more information than the basic level.
Yeah, that goes back to, that essentially goes back to what I was saying, but almost in reverse. Sometimes our questions scream, we don't have faith in the rider we're interviewing.
Right.
But also sometimes our questions scream, I know you don't have faith in me that I know what I know. So let me tell you what I know so that I can elevate the quality of this interview.
Yeah.
But ultimately, answering the question is wrong. And like I say, that follow-up question to Eli on press day, which was just 3 words, that was I like the shortness of it.
Yeah.
My biggest gripe is long questions, and the way you get to long questions is you ask a question and then answer it in depth yourself.
Exactly.
Which I really don't think I've ever done, but I know some people do. That's terrible.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think that we, as the media, need to be a better job of just being concise. Like, you want them to talk about a topic, so just give them that topic and say, like, your thoughts or, something like that. And if they don't give you the answer like you said, then kind of double down, but don't ask the same question. Just like go to a different part of that question to get a little bit more information out of that. Because, like I said, I feel like sometimes you ask a rider something and they almost look at you as like, how do you not know that answer or something like
Yeah.
that? But you're like, no, I'm not asking like the basic level question. I'm asking you to dig deeper into that topic. I'm like blanking on like an idea that, but you know what I'm talking about. Like you've had that happen before where a rider will be like, yeah, so like, to get our whole shot devices down, we push on the front end and it clicks in. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, no, I'm asking like technique wise, like you do this thing where you stop and with your boot or, whatever,
Yeah.
like something like that.
I think I summed it up best when I said sometimes we don't have faith in the riders we're interviewing, and sometimes we know they don't have faith in us, because ultimately this is a much overarching issue, and that is that as media we don't have much stock in this or weight. Our title as media doesn't carry much weight in this industry. It really
No.
doesn't.
No.
And we are looked at, we as a general term, I believe are looked at for the most part as a bunch of people who don't really know what we're talking about.
Yeah. But I think part of that problem is because we wear so many hats. Like we don't get to just be journalists. We have to also do podcasts or this or
because
we don't.
moto media is very jokey.
Yeah. But yeah, like we just have so much stuff that we do that isn't just research and getting, like deep behind a story or something like that. It's very like kind of the basic surface level stuff, I feel like, in a lot of regards.
Yeah, my final point as we hit the time limit is I've contemplated this a lot recently, and I've considered making a conscious effort to go really deep on the serious side and try to cut out any sort of humor or banterous conversation from my program completely, which would be hard because sometimes you just kind of end up in that position. But I just don't know. I've considered it, I've contemplated it, and I just don't know if it's counterproductive or what.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's a fair criticism of the media, and this is, I guess, our explanation of why sometimes it is that way. But we'll move on to our second topic here today. And if you heard that noise in the background and you're new to the show, we try to cut this at a hard 7 minutes. We always go a little bit long, but we try to keep the topics a little bit concise because otherwise we would talk about this stuff all day long, but we don't want this to be a 5-hour podcast. We do that, Steve does that every Monday night. So, moving on to our second topic, and it has been like if you could draw up how bad a season goes without getting injured, I think that you would find Malcolm Stewart in the dictionary because he's been down in the first corner of 3 straight main events, and he's crashed a little bit more than that on a couple of occasions. It's not going well, and it's not fun to watch because I think we all, the media and fans, like Malcolm and we want him to be competitive. But man, he just needs to have like one break. Like one break would do it.
I believe that the direction I would take this debate is the narrative has always been Malcolm is on the verge of his first win.
Okay.
It's coming. It's got to happen this year, almost like it's a foregone conclusion. I say no, it's not a foregone conclusion. I believe he's led 13 laps in 91 450 starts. He's had 4 podiums, the same number as AC in less time, and also, now 1 less than Aaron Passenger. And those numbers don't indicate a rider who is on the verge of achieving this amazing feat. With AP, there was a consistent upward trajectory that led to his win. And I think that we are very far from that with Malcolm. And I believe that maybe it's for Stewart name. I believe that there's a level of height where I'm back to the show me stage. I have no hard opinion, or I'm not confident that Malcolm Stewart is going to land on the podium at some point this year. Because
Really?
I'm back to show me. He's not been in the top 10 since the final round of 2022.
Yeah, but he only raced 2 rounds of 2023 and then got hurt.
But that's now 5 successive rounds without a top 10 finish.
Sure, I'll give it to you because of the numbers of races, I guess. But he's not a mud rider. Like, we've kind of seen that out of Malcolm over the years. Like, his first race back from injury in 22 was Unadilla, and it was a mudder, and it wasn't good. And, just like, I don't feel like he does very well in those type of conditions. So Anaheim 1 to me was like, yeah, didn't really look the part, as you're saying, didn't look what we had seen in the past. And I think what kind of skews it, unfortunately for us, is everybody who would tell the media anything in the offseason said Malcolm Stewart's flying at the test track. He's back from injury. Everything's great. So you go into A1 with the assumption that like he's just back at his old level. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that the injury and being out as long as he was is what's hampering him. And I think once we get more into the season, we'll find old Malcolm again.
If I go deeper on this, it's not actually the main event results. It's the fact that across these first couple of rounds, he's not been higher than 9th in time to practice. And again, the narrative with Malcolm is, if there's a man for 1 lap speed, we've not even seen that. So actually, daytime, evening, practice, race, we're a couple of rounds into this series, and there is not a single positive to cling to. That's fine, because there's last year. Oh, wait. No, there isn't. Last year was even worse. So now we're going back to 2022, which is 2 years ago. A lot can happen in that time. Consider the fact that Malcolm turned pro the same year as Eli Tomac. Is anyone talking about how Eli Tomac is building and climbing and on the verge of reaching a new level? No, we're all talking about how he's on his way out. So why with Malcolm are we as an industry all sat here going, it's coming, he's on his way up, he's building, like, it doesn't fit.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I think that the career outline is different though for Malcolm and Tomac by quite a bit, because Tomac won immediately. Malcolm like was on Suzuki City, like just trying to get in the top 10s and stuff like that. So like,
I'm talking solely age.
I know you're talking age, but I'm talking, if you go by the theory that McGrath has, which is like you have your 10 years of everything going right and then you're done. Like Tomac broke that narrative a little bit, but I feel like Malcolm really came into his own and his little like a zenith of himself in like 2015, 2016. So then if you go 10 years beyond that, like he's still got 2 more good years, I feel like, in him in that regard. So I still think it's in there. Like I still think we need dry races, and I think we need races where the whoops don't break down gnarly, because I think he's really good in flat whoops, but I think it's still there.
What is that? What is there?
Well, if you go back to A1 last year and you say like it wasn't there in 2023, he led like a lot of the main event at
4
A1.
laps. No, 9 laps.
Yeah.
4 laps or 9 laps? He's led 9 laps one time and 4 laps the other. I can't remember what race was what.
But I feel like sitting in the press box at A1, there was a collective like, oh my gosh, Malcolm might win this race. And that was a year ago, and I know he had a bad injury, but I still think that like that same form can be found the same way we think of Eli coming back from his bad injury, like same time frame. It's still there.
Okay, I'll rebuttal that. And just to clarify, this is a debate show, so I'm going to come across like a hardcore Malcolm hater.
Okay.
You're rambling on about Anaheim 1 2020 last year.
Yeah.
Whatever that was.
23.
And yeah, that was great. That was the only time we have seen that in 450s in what would have been, well, even now, 91 starts.
That's not the only time Malcolm's been like battling out front for a win.
Well, he's only led 13 laps in his career.
What was the other one? Anaheim 1 2019? Is that the one you're pulling from? Or no, because he ran second forever to Dino and then crashed trying to go.
No, it was sometime. It was one of the latter rounds of 2022.
And then like in 2022, there was like he won a heat race in Detroit and finished second, I think. Like there's been
lots of riders have won heat races.
I'm just saying it's never gone the whole way, as you're saying, of like gets out front and can battle for a win very often. But the speed has suggested that if he does get his starts, similar to AP, the potential's still there.
AP led a lot of laps in Atlanta in 21?
21, yeah.
Yeah, on the Yamaha. Detroit last year. There were clearly building blocks that we could point to as evidence that AP has gained the experience necessary to seal the deal and win a main event. Malcolm hasn't really started that process.
But I disagree, because he gets third in points in 2022 and then almost wins the opener, was like battling for the lead at the opening round of the series, to then getting hurt a week and a half later and his whole season is gone. Like, we don't have enough data, I think, to say, yes, it hasn't gone good at the start because he's crashed in the first corner of 3 main events. Like, we need to have like a few dry races before you can get to that conclusion.
Okay, end on this. Does Malcolm Stewart win a race this year?
I don't think so, but I'm saying I think he still has the potential speed in him.
Does he end his career with a main event win?
Well, if you're asking me to answer that, I would say no.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I win.
You win.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Yes.
All right, let's move on to perhaps the hottest topic in our sport right now. And it's not necessarily by choice of anybody aside from just it continuing to go. Like, it happened on Saturday. There was some rebuttals on Sunday. And now here we are on Tuesday, and there's still back and forth. And it is Jett Lawrence and Jason Anderson getting into it in San Diego. And Lewis, you and I are going to approach this topic from kind of a different standpoint than obviously everyone else is, because you have the incident. They've raced in the main event. Jett doesn't like what Jason did. They talk after the race. There's helmet grabbing. Jett kind of gets angry at talking to his mechanic, and then goes to Jason's mechanic, Rango, after, and starts yelling about it. And then we have the Jett apology on Instagram. And we have Dazzy apologized. Lucas apparently apologized or something like that. I missed
You're
that.
You're talking about behind
the
closed
scenes.
doors, yeah.
Yeah. And then Jason on Sunday puts out like all good Jetson or something, and like just a montage of him. But then today, Jason hits with a long post on Instagram about how he never got contacted from Jett Lawrence specifically. It was always just the agent or the dad or all that people behind the scenes, like you said. And let's disregard that reaction for a minute, and you and I just talk about social media and using it to have this hash out in public. Like, is this cool? Like, is this what we want out of riders?
I believe that if you put this information in front of a Formula One journalist, they would laugh at us.
I agree. I think so.
And realistically, there should be words from Jason Anderson and Jett Lawrence on what went down here.
Right.
I don't necessarily believe that each of us should go and do separate interviews with them, and I can understand why the riders, manufacturers, agents don't want that. But what should happen, in my mind, is the team PR person or the agent, whoever, someone in each corner should record a voice memo of the rider talking. It can be scripted, who cares?
Yeah.
And distribute it to the media, and then we spread that message in a professional manner.
Correct.
That's what should happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are so far away from what should happen in most instances that it's unbelievable. But then I don't feel so strongly about it. Like, I just kind of look at Jason's post and rub my hands together. I don't necessarily look at it and go, oh, that's a bad look for our sport.
Yeah.
It's only when I sit back and put my professional hat on that I realize how amateur hour we must look.
Yeah. Well, a man of exquisite riding background in Adam Wheeler put a tweet out earlier today kind of saying like, like, this is all kind of nonsense. Like, is this really what people are interested in more so than the racing aspect of it? And so that's kind of like where I'm curious is, as fans, we obviously love racing, in terms of watching it, and we all grew up riding motocross or something like that. So we raced it as well, but not to this level. But it seems like the drama of this is attracting a lot more attention than AP getting his first win, Nate Thrasher bouncing back and riding well in the mud. Like, any of that, gone. We're just in this drama like spin at this point.
Yeah, what is sad is that, and I don't have to look at the RacerX numbers to know this, drama, what each media sharing Jason's Instagram post would get 4 times as many clicks as a really nice bit of content on the race.
Yeah.
Okay, probably the same in other sports, I would imagine. But the difference is, in other sports, the interest level for the race is already so high that that's just a nice bonus. Whereas in most instances, I feel like interest in journalism on just the race without some sort of hook is almost non-existent.
Yeah. So social media like barely existed when, do you remember Jacksonville 2009?
Yeah.
Chad Reed, James Stewart,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get into it on the track, and some people have made a similarity reference to Jett Lawrence grabbing Jason's helmet and how Chad grabbed James's
Yep.
neck in that instance. And then they argued on the podium, and they both happened to be on the podium, so that kind of like played into it a little bit that they both had to be up there. Do you feel that that's a better look than arguing on social media for days versus just hashing it out face to face on the podium like they did?
Hard to say because you have the nostalgia element,
Yeah.
but I would say that the James Chad is a better look.
Yeah, because like if you think about, as you said, Formula One, MotoGP, these like higher echelon sports, if drivers get into it or MotoGP riders get into it, there seems to be the spat right there. Maybe they spat in the press conference, but I don't feel like that carries over to social media. Aside from an apology, maybe like we've seen some written apologies from Formula One drivers, and then the next week the media will ask them about that, and then we'll get more information or something like that. But I don't feel like I've ever seen it on this level.
I would like to now see an open letter from Jett Lawrence.
Okay.
I think that's the
So
only
keep
response.
it going at this point.
Well, no, but an open letter would be, I think, if I'm in the Jett Lawrence camp and I'm now in salvage mode, I think an open letter would be a good way to show professionalism, almost show that I'm above the stupid social media spat and I'm not going to engage there.
Yeah.
So let me do it in a very let me show you that I'm ready to lead this sport in the correct manner. I think that would be an effective way of doing it.
How do you feel that TV, because they're obviously going to play into this a little bit, but how do you think TV like actually will approach this or should approach this going into Anaheim?
I believe that they should approach it by sitting down with Jett, sitting down with Jason, doing interviews and showcasing it in that way. Or do they need to showcase it
Well, that's what
at
I'm saying.
all?
Like, is that playing too much into the drama? Like, do they just let it be, like, show the post and then see what happens? Or do you actually get deeper into the story?
This is what you do.
Okay.
You don't include Jason or Jett because we don't care about, oh, he cross jumped, oh, he was blocking me. We don't care now. What you do is you get Ricky, James, whoever, top rider, to talk about how Jett may perceive this situation as a rookie who's not got much experience, how Jason used veteran moves. You get you bring it back away from the clickbaity drama element to pure racing analysis, because at the end of the day, it's still a racing incident that can be analysed.
Yes.
So so it's their responsibility to claw it back and bring it into a form that is something that we could show off and be proud of.
I agree. That's a perfect take on that. Is you get their opinion on what happened on the racetrack, aside from what's going on with that drama, because that story could be told at a later date. Like, you know, if they get into it again, then you go, well, this is the backstory. But what happened on the racetrack, and that's it, and that's how you kind of move past this, I think. Right?
Yeah. I think of F1. I imagine what they would do is they would have their panel stood on the pit lane straight. They would read out Jason's statement, and then they would do a along the line
analysis of
of it, and then move on.
Yep.
There wouldn't be like, oh, he's not happy.
Yeah. All right. So that topic is done. We are now kind of through our selected moto topics, but we have a fan topic that we are about to discuss. Before we do that, I want to remind you guys that this show is, of course, the EVS Sports LVK podcast. And over the past 39 years, EVS Sports has established themselves as the leaders in innovation and technology when it comes to designing protection gear for today's motocross riders. Athletes like RJ Hampshire, Kyle Chisholm, Freddie Norrin, Axel Hodges, and Travis Pastrana all wear EVS when they race, ride, or whatever Travis decides to do that day. Check out evs-sports.com to gear up like the pros and use the code LVK30 to save on anything from knee protection to shoulder braces. All right, we are going to move into our Race Tech fan question of the week. Shout out to Race Tech. Building a reliable world-class engine requires a combination of state-of-the-art equipment and experienced, knowledgeable technicians. Race Tech provides quality, precision engine services using the best equipment and processes in the industry. Our fan question of the week comes from an inside source of the media.
Probably not stoked on being called a fan.
Yeah, well, that's what it
Yeah,
is. So
yeah.
we're lumping him in. But Michael Lindsay hit us with a question that kind of pertains to this Jett Anderson situation a little bit, and it's should top riders have publicists and not just agents? And just real briefly, publicists are more like kind of like a PR person for the guy instead of like agents. They're obviously doing behind the scenes work and dealing and wheeling and all that stuff, but a publicist is more of like an image person, like an image controller
Yeah.
for the rider to make sure that like, hey, we're keeping it tight. What say you, Lewis Phillips?
I know that anyone rider team wise listening to this, which is probably no one, but if they did, their immediate reaction would be there's not enough happening to justify that position. But that's where if you are a forward thinker, you say we put someone in that position and then they create goings on that justify their position.
Yeah.
Because that's what it needs. It needs someone to look at the situation, someone who's got a different head on their shoulders to look at the situation and understand how, I can use the media. So let me link the media with,
Yeah.
how often, besides the standard press releases that go out, how often do we really get communicated with on an official level?
Like from the teams, you mean?
Yeah.
Or on behalf of the rider? Yeah, not very much.
We can text on a friendly way,
Yes,
but
yeah.
we don't get. When was the last time we saw a team PR person in the press box who was there to deliver news that furthered the rider team media?
Yeah, I mean, we see Ulrich a lot, but he doesn't necessarily go in and like feed us topics.
What I'm saying is, what I would like is, to use an example, San Francisco, Gasgas's PR woman to come to the press box and say, "Hey guys, Justin's sick today. This is why. Just wanted to let you know he won't be doing interviews today for this reason, so please don't try.
Yeah.
But to help you in your storytelling, this is what he's dealing with."
Yeah, but that's more on a team PR level. We're trying
But
to.
if you had a publicist, would the publicist not do that?
Yeah, but on behalf of the writer, like I think that's what Michael's question is, because Jeremy McGrath had a publicist. So McGrath himself used to have someone that would kind of like make sure things are taken care of in terms of setting up interviews and also helping Jeremy kind of shape his own image, like going on Jay Leno and things like
Yeah.
that are set up through the publicist, like, going and finding those opportunities. And like, if you want to talk about like us having a media publicist, like that's kind of like what Sean Brennan does, is he like feeds us information. He feeds us information about what we need to know.
Yeah, about
and
the
then
series.
And then he helps us organize if we need something done. And that's what, Michael's asking, should a rider have this liaison specifically for themselves, not a team representative, just for them to manage if this fiasco or whatever happens, they're on top of it.
Yeah, I believe that Jett, Chase, Eli, Coop, Kenny, like riders of that level, 100%.
Yeah.
But again, because it's never been done, it sounds ludicrous. But I think that as soon as someone does it, which I don't think they ever will, but when or if someone were to do it, the position would then become very popular and everyone would realise the need for it, and then fast forward 2 years down the line and it's the most normal happening possible.
Do you think that most riders believe their agents do a good enough job of that for them? Like, do you think from a rider standpoint, they're like, I'm taken care of in terms of my image already. Like, we're good.
I do not think that any of the riders care.
They don't care. So it's not an image thing about it. It's just, but because I feel like riders are going more and more out of their way to find like social media specialists to help them either post content that, they don't ever have to do it. But,
But I've done that. I've done that for riders, and most of the time, the reason that sparked the conversation wasn't, I want to take my profile to another level. It was, I can't be bothered to do this. Can you do it for me?
Yeah.
And I know I need to do it, so can you just do it?
Just to briefly dip back to the Jett Anderson thing and how you were talking about having someone that just gets it, sound bites out there or whatever on a professional level. If they both had publicists, do you think that's how this is handled?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Like this is what I believe. Like, okay, so no one can get an Eli interview midweek, realistically.
Usually not.
Apart from maybe a very rare occasion. What should happen is we should be able to communicate someone, a publicist, and say, we want Eli's time. They, being intelligent, should reply with, what do you need it for? If we say, for a chit chat and a catch up,
Yeah,
they say that's not of interest for us. If we say, I'm writing a story about this particular topic and I want to ask these 2 questions, they say, I will get Eli to send a voice memo and I will forward it on to you.
Yeah.
We then have better content. Eli doesn't have to talk to us whack jobs. The whole sport is uplifted.
Yeah.
But that doesn't need a publicist because the team PR person could do that. That's not a hard job. That takes 2 minutes.
They could, but again, just trying to, I guess, like think of it from how much money is available or whatever. Like there are athletes in this sport that are making a lot more money than guys they're not beating by a lot. You know, like there's a guy, like I'm not trying to just pick out names, but if you say like the 7th place guy is not making near as much money as the guy that's in 2nd or 1st.
Yeah.
In terms of how much their
as
deals
is the
are
case
and
in
like
Formula One.
Right. So I'm saying like those top guys have the ability to have someone help control their image in that regard. And it has nothing to do with teams and their budgets or anything like that. It's just literally in their pocketbooks they could do it themselves, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's like, just to say, doesn't have to put the onus on the team, put it on the rider who wants their image to be, you know, as positive as it can be.
But it should be a joint effort between a team and rider. If I was a team PR person, I would be thinking like this because I would be like, I can make a difference in my job.
Yeah.
How can I be the best?
Yeah.
Let me really, like, you know, elevate this. Of course, a team PR person's job is wide ranging, but they've got time. Like, they have got time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I you're right. I think, again, if you look to the other motorsports, like this is the thing that it's all kind of figured out. And our sport is not probably big enough to have it be as seamless as that. But I think if you have 1 or 2 guys do it, a lot of them would. If you have Kenny and Jett or whatever, get an actual publicist, a lot of them would be like, oh, that's how it works.
Maybe this makes me look bad. But I think this is a perfect example. In December, I wrote a really nice story that I was proud of about the average age of top riders rising. Just, you know, some thoughts, some facts, some, you know, just it was a nice story. I was proud of it. And what I really needed to tie it together was a quote from Eli and a quote from Anderson. I didn't even attempt to contact the riders or the teams because I was like, there's just no way. That's bad. On saying that, I realize that makes me look bad, but also that's a sad reflection on the industry.
Yeah, no, I mean there definitely are what we would consider like just non-starters. Like you can't even chase a story sometimes because you just know you're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, and of course in GPs I could have got any quote, but that's because I had a friendly relationship with all of the riders. But it shouldn't come down to that.
Yeah,
that should not even enter the conversation. That should not impact the work that the media can do, other than maybe my interview with someone I'm friendlier with will maybe be a little more better just because I've got that rapport.
Yeah. I'm going to insert a small topic here because we've been very like media heavy through these 3 topics that we've discussed aside from Malcolm Stewart. From the riding alone, what has been like your biggest like surprise in terms of you did not expect the riding to go this well through 3 rounds in the 450 class?
You're talking a rider.
Yeah, but I'm saying like in how they've ridden
coming
into the season. I know AP is like...
Yeah, it would be AP.
But no one else that jumps off the page.
It would be AP and not because of San Diego, because of A1.
Yeah.
Besides that, based on all of the feedback about how bad December was, maybe Chase being this good this early because... Yeah. He wasn't exactly hiding the fact that his expectations were lower or had to be lowered.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Are we surprised at all that Kenny has been like arguably the fastest guy every single week?
No, because he was so good. Abu Dhabi, Australia, Paris.
Yeah, that's true. I know he got really good by the end of the year, but I just like when you throw all these other guys into the mix, like it's pretty cool to see that.
I said this a lot on Vital MX throughout the off season. I followed Kenny through Abu Dhabi, Nations, Paris. I was so excited about him coming into this season because watching him in person, I was like, this is good. And being able to talk to him in a more relaxed setting, I was like, okay, he's really in a good place.
Yeah.
So that I was maybe the most excited about Kenny coming into A1 than any other rider. And that's not putting a result on it. That's not me saying he was my pick. But just as a what's possible, what could happen here?
Yeah.
That topic was most exciting surrounding Kenny.
Do you think his mistake this weekend was because he was trying too hard, or it just was inevitable?
It was down to the track, the
Yeah.
conditions,
Well,
easy for it to bite.
I'm just asking because bad result, not bad, but not good result at the opener, gets third the next week, and in his own mind might be like, I should maybe be leading the championship. I have to win this one, and maybe overrode.
Did I see an interview with Roxon with I want to say it was done by Weege, where Roxon said that he doesn't even know if he can consider himself a championship contender?
That does kind of ring a bell. I don't remember who.
No, but I feel like it did get said.
Yeah.
I wonder if the riding was so good through the first 2 rounds that he then started to be like, okay, I need to be a championship contender.
Yeah. What?
I'm asking that on press day. No one else is allowed to take it.
That's fine. Another quick topic on Kenny specifically, because we're a little bit early on our non-moto topic, so I don't want to get there just yet. Are you okay with Roxon latching on to Jett for the last 10 minutes of the main event and passing guys via the blue flag? Like, they probably just assumed he's in a battle with Jett, and a lot of guys let him go. Like, are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Roxon. He would pass him anyway.
I think it's like kind of like it's obviously a smart move by Roxon, but I think that this just goes back to like in-helmet communication or whatever to even let these guys know that like, hey, Jett's for position, Kenny's not, or something like that. Like, that's the only way that this solves it.
I'm against in-helmet communication.
Oh, okay. You want to keep it as real as possible on the track?
It's just dumb.
Well,
like, it's not going to work.
Get the lappers out of the way.
It's not going to work.
Get the lappers out of the way.
It's not going to work. Oh, hey, Kenny, you're about to be lapped, but not by the guy on your right, by the guy on your left.
I mean, you don't need that much communication.
No, but like, do you get what I mean? That's the level it would need, because it's never as simple as there is a rider behind you, let him go. It's like,
yeah, but you just be quick.
It's a stupid topic.
Kenny, leader coming, 0.5.
It's a stupid topic.
Okay, whatever. We'll move on from that, and we'll jump into our non-moto topics. We got 2 of them to discuss today, and the first one, Lewis, was a little bit of like this long back and forth that eventually we just decided to part ways and do this separately. You and I were both on the Pulp MX show this week. We both live very close to each other.
13 minutes apart.
Yep. So it would have been very easy for us to drive to Steve's together and then drive back from Steve's together and save money on fuel. And instead, our carbon footprint is terrible because we just drove separately. And really what this was a crescendo of is you did not want to stay the night at Steve's. You wanted to get home that night, even though it's a 4-hour drive. And I was okay with sleeping at Steve's. And that's what happened. So you're good with all this? You're good that we just drove separate?
Well, I would have loved to spend more time with you, Kellen, because I haven't spent enough time with you recently. No, I don't know if this is me being weird, but I feel like I was in the right.
Okay.
I stated what I wanted to do. I gave you multiple offers of ways to make you comfortable with what I wanted to do. And it was like talking to a brick wall.
Okay, but I also stated what I wanted to do.
But you didn't make allowances for me. There was no meeting halfway, whereas I was like, hey, Kellen.
What do you mean no meeting halfway? I said I would drive you, and you would have to pay $0 in fuel for the really just tough thing of sleeping at Steve's house and waking up the next morning and getting home at 10 a.m.
I don't have the patience. Let's just get it done. Like I'm a busy guy.
Okay.
Let's just get it done. Like, no traffic. We've got things to do. At the end of the day,
I did not hit any traffic for what it's worth. 0.
It is possible to drive back after the show. So I felt as though staying needlessly was kind of putting Steve and Pookie out as well.
They don't care.
Yeah, but maybe I overthink things, but I was like, yeah, it's just you're putting someone out for no.
Do you
no
understand
reason.
My reasons for not wanting to drive home that night? Okay, so you wanted to drive home, and then I would sit passenger seat, and you're like, fall asleep, whatever.
Yeah, or lay in the back.
Yeah.
Bring a pillow.
I've done that a lot of times in my life, and I've never been a good car sleeper. So I would not sleep at all, if any, very poorly.
Well, you could have gone in the trunk.
And we would get home at 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I would jump in bed, go to sleep, And then my daughter, you don't have a child, my daughter gets up at 7 and she is very keen to let her parents know she's awake. So I would definitely be woken up at 7 and I would have a horrible night's sleep after driving home and I would not get any work done the next day. So that was my logic.
I went to sleep at 2, woke up at 7:30, and I feel fine.
Can we talk about 3 hours?
Look, I don't know.
Okay. It is a 270-mile drive. I don't know what that is in kilometers. You'll have to forgive me for being a dumb American.
I use miles.
Okay, so you use miles.
Yeah, England uses miles.
Miles per hour, right, when you drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so 270 miles to drive, and you did this in 3 hours, which means...
Maybe it was a little more.
Which means you have averaged 90 miles an hour or more while it's raining.
There's no... I didn't get an exact time. I didn't get an exact speed, so I can't comment.
But you commented...
No comment.
But you did publicly comment. It was great. Tweet. It was great. I got home at 1:45 a.m.
It was a typo.
It was a typo. Okay, but again, regardless of all that, I thought we were good planners, Lewis. What happened to us?
Well, we were good planners. We were thorough about our...
We were thorough about it.
Thorough? Is that how you say it? Thorough.
Thorough.
Thorough. Thorough.
It sounds like you're saying it with an F. So
we don't need to get into that. Yeah, I don't know. I saw staying there as like you're just delaying the inevitable, and like there's stuff to do, so let's just crack on.
Do you feel that you got everything done you needed to when you got home today?
I spent a lot of time on the phone this morning, but I got a story published.
Could have been on the phone in the car.
Well, yeah, that wasn't planned. That was by accident. But a popular guy, Kellen.
Popular guy?
Yeah, no, but yeah, I got a story published. I'm here.
And you don't think you could have published that story from the passenger seat of a vehicle?
No, because it's a very intricate story that we took a high level of proofreading and.
Because had we driven together, we could have recorded a podcast while in the vehicle.
Well, no, we couldn't have.
4-hour podcast. Why not? Because put a microphone down and talk.
No, that's terrible. By the way, speaking of stories, please head to Vital MX and read the Supercross statistics story. I do it every week. It's a lot of effort. So if someone would read it out there, it would kind of make me feel better about it.
Yeah. But so you have no qualms at all with the fact that
I'm happy that you got what... I'm happy that you were comfortable with what you did.
Yep.
And you were good.
And I'm happy that you're comfortable with what you did, but I feel like people will be very annoyed to find out that we drove 30 minutes apart from each other up there, that you left right after the show, and I went to bed.
I arrived at the show 15 minutes after you?
Yeah, ish.
We must have been like neck and neck the whole way.
When you texted him and said your ETA, were you stopped or were you driving?
Yeah, I was getting lunch. So
I probably passed you. Yeah. Where'd you get lunch? In the
Chipotle.
But it's that one like
in the middle,
halfway there. There's like the shopping center or whatever.
Yeah, and then the Chipotle.
Yep. Okay. No, I just think that for me, I'm glad that I drove home safely, not in the rain. This
and
morning.
So did I. It wasn't. You need to calm down on
it.
It
was raining when you left.
It was like a gentle shower. You people in California need to calm down. It's fine.
So do you drive whatever 90 on the country roads in England when it's gently showering?
What who's the creature that if it gets wet, it's like I'm melting? I feel like that has happened in the past, but no, a little bit of rain never hurt anyone. If anything, it's nice because everyone moved out of the fast lane because they were scared.
They were scared, so you're just cruising.
No, but they were overreacting. It was a little bit of rain. There was no standing water. There was no
aquaplaning.
No,
no, at all.
No,
not even leaving yesterday. I did a couple times.
No,
really.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm a mud specialist.
Yeah, the roads are very muddy here.
I'm a wet weather specialist.
Wet weather specialist. I mean, it's true. You did come from
honestly.
the UK,
you need to get as a nation need to get better at driving in the rain.
Well, California sucks. Like
I guess it's California. Okay, you as a state need to get better at driving in the rain. Like it starts spitting, and we are swerving, slamming on the brakes, pulling over in the hard shoulder because we're scared. It's a lot. It's honestly a lot.
It is a lot. You pass a lot of wrecks when it rains here in California, which is yeah, people suck at
It's
driving.
honestly insane.
Yeah. Okay. Last topic that we are going to hit on today, and I have to open my text messages because this one was texted to me, and I'm curious to know if you know this person, Lewis, because they seem to know you, and this is why they brought this topic to the table.
You never told me that this was.
They brought this topic because of you.
Who is it?
I'm not going to tell you who this is, but we're going to get into it
no,
right now.
because I might get myself in trouble.
No, it's not like that. No. So the topic that is the overarching theme here really is listening to someone give you expert advice when they are maybe an expert on something, and then not listening to that advice and doing something completely different.
Well, now I've got my backup because is this someone saying that they gave me advice and I didn't listen?
It is.
Well, who is it?
Okay, I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Text me.
No, I'm gonna tell you what he texted me. Can I read this?
Is this gonna make me look bad?
It might.
No.
What car did you buy, by the way?
Is it someone? It's about a car.
It's about a car.
Who gave me advice on it? Is it Steve?
I don't know how this person got in touch with you or whatever, and I'm actually surprised that they said they did. But this is what this person said to me, and then I wish to have your rebuttal.
No,
okay?
I don't think I want to know this because it's going to make me feel bad.
You don't want to know this?
No, because I'm trying to be a nicer person, and this is just going to make me seem like a dick.
Well, actually, to be fair, I don't actually totally agree with like his opinion on this.
Okay, just read it, Kellen.
Okay.
I want to go home. Just read it. Get it over and done with.
A while back, I spent my evening looking up cars for Lewis and gave him very sound advice about buying a car. Hours of searching, and in the end, he took none of it and bought something that was as far from good advice as he could get. And the topic would be asking experts for advice and then not listening to
Who texted you that?
I'll tell you after.
A while ago.
No, today. They texted me today. But here's why I maybe don't agree with his stance on this. I know from talking to you when you were trying to look for a car, you asked a lot of people about.
I got way too much advice.
Yeah,
I definitely took someone's advice.
But I don't know if this person is an expert or not. But do you feel that you ended up getting sage enough advice?
Is
when
this
you bought
person a Moto Media member?
Kind of.
Okay, I think I know.
Outside-ish a little bit.
I know who it is.
Okay.
No. But no, like I'm the victim again.
Well, my question to you is: when you bought a car, do you feel that you?
I haven't bought a car for life. I've bought a car for like.
Listen, can I answer the question or ask the question?
No, Kellen, because you're just attacking me.
I'm not attacking you. I agree with your stance on this a little bit because I'm asking, with all of the information that you gathered about buying a car, that you felt that you made an educated decision yourself.
Basically, I had to buy. I want a truck. My plan was to get a truck immediately. I don't have a credit score in America, so I had to buy a vehicle outright. So I bought a car which had no accidents, warranty, and all of that stuff that basically I can keep for a year, and it will make it easier to sell.
Did you lease or buy?
No, I had to buy
Oh,
outright.
you bought outright. Okay.
Kellen, my life's been hard work.
I'm just asking questions.
Honestly, Kellen, I'm on the verge of a breakdown.
Settle
The
down.
last
I'm trying to
8
agree with
weeks
you.
have been
I'm
tough.
trying to agree with you about this.
I had to rent an apartment without a credit score. They wanted a $6,000 deposit.
I'm aware of all the hardships you've gone through, which is why I wanted to.
No help.
I tried to help
I'm
you.
like Oliver Twist.
And clearly this guy tried to help you as well.
The car situation was really bad because I found a BMW that I wanted, and the documents said
Don't buy a BMW.
no accidents. So I was like, brilliant. And then I put on my shoes to go and buy it, and before I went, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pay for my own report. It had been, and I shit you not, it was a 2017, it had been in 42 accidents. It was in an accident in Arizona. 2 weeks later, it was in an accident in Utah.
And what were the reports like? All fender benders? Like
I can't remember exactly,
you
but
can't get into 42 accidents and not have one bend the frame or something.
it was basically a disaster. So I had probably 5 full starts like that where I was like, I found a car, brilliant. It says no accidents. Pay for a separate report. It's been in serious accident.
Yeah,
because in England we can't sell a car that's been written off. If a car's written off, it's written off.
it's called totaled here.
Okay,
But yeah,
whereas you can sell them. Crazy bunch. It's
Yep.
a dangerous game out there.
yeah.
So in the end, I got advice from someone else who's a car expert, and they told me to buy something with warranty, from a dealership, so then it's more legit, the record, and then it would make it easier to sell. And I googled what is the most, like, the top reliable cars, the top hold value cars, because I don't plan on keeping it long term. And
So, in your own opinion, you feel you made an informed
honestly,
decision,
I
right?
wasn't happy with my decision, but it was such a stress. I was I was spending $400 a week on a rental car.
Yeah.
So every week that I failed to buy a car, I was costing myself too much money. So in the end, I had to just pull the pin. Like, in an ideal world, I would have kept searching, but I was killing myself. Not only was I killing myself financially, I was killing myself stress-wise because I was looking at cars 24/7, desperately trying to find a car that hadn't been totaled at some point.
Okay, so getting back onto this topic about expert advice or whatever, are you a type of person that you want to go like to someone that you feel has a lot of knowledge in the field, or do you want to go to someone that you trust?
There's only one instance where I get advice from someone currently on a consistent basis, so I'll pull on that.
Okay.
I care. You may not believe this, but I care about my job like really a lot.
I think a lot of people believe that.
I overanalyze every step I take, every move I make. To quote a song,
Yeah, chill out. I can't believe you know that song. That's great.
Lighthouse Family.
Wow.
Yep. That was good. Yeah, I overanalyze it to fuck. Like someone came up to me at San Diego and went, "I just wanted to say your press day interviews were some of the best Supercross interviews I've ever seen." My reply was, "It can be better."
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, you do overanalyze.
I really want to be great. Not even great. I just want to do a job that I'm proud of, and I don't think I've ever done that. Apart from the Hurlings interview last year, that's the one time that I drove away from his house and I was like, I fucking did it. That was the only time, honestly, in my career that I've been like, well done, Lewis.
Really?
Yeah.
Only time?
Only time. And it was the best feeling. And now I'm searching for that feeling every week. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it because I'm not sure another rider will give me what he gave me.
I'm surprised at that because I feel like you had some GPs where you got a lot of really good post-race podcasts.
Yeah, but it became so normal that I was like,
I don't know, I guess.
I felt like I was a victim of the success fair where my GP post-race podcasts were expected to be riders slagging off teams, rude joke. Like, it was kind of like, if it was a normal interview, everyone was like, "What? What's happened?"
Oh.
Yeah. And obviously, I want to prove myself here. That's almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I know. So anyway, but not only do I want to be the best interviewer, I want to be the best writer I can be. I want to be articulate. I want to be thought-provoking. When I interview a rider, the success meter for me is I want to ask a question and I want them to stop and think.
Mm-hmm.
Because then that means that I've put something to them that even they have had to go, "Oh, that's that." Them stopping to think about it is almost like them saying, "That's a good question," silently.
Yeah.
So that's what I shoot for, interview-wise. But obviously I got to know Adam Wheeler in GPs, and like look up to his work, look up to his reputation in the industry, because there's no one who questions his media work or his credibility or his position in the industry, either Moto or MotoGP.
Yeah.
So I go to him for advice, I would say weekly. Too much. I bother him a lot. I bothered him this morning. I sent him my press day interviews from San Diego this morning and said, "I had good feedback on this. I believe they can be better. I really want to know what you think." So I do go for advice, but I'm a bit of a dick. I only take advice. There's a very few people who I would accept advice from. If I'm accepting someone's advice, I need to be 100% certain that I'm basically putting all of my trust in you.
Yeah, so you lean more on trust instead of maybe like out here. I feel like it's common that you really go like if you need legal advice, you go to a lawyer and all that stuff.
Well, no, in
like
that case, yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like
I'm not gonna go to the McDonald's worker for legal advice because he gave me an extra chicken nugget once, so I trust him.
I'm just saying, like in generally speaking, you will ask kind of like not your friends necessarily, but people that you consider close to you to give you like. For example, I think you asked for a chiropractor.
Yes.
And you asked like
who else would I ask?
Well, I mean, you would maybe like go to Google and look at reviews.
No, because I'm not going to trust
I don't know,
Google.
but I'm saying like maybe go to Doc G or someone and say like, "Hey, do you have a chiropractor you use?" I don't know, like things like that. Like that's an expert opinion because he has a knowledge base in that versus just asking us who are morons about chiropractic.
Okay, I don't know him though. So,
But you know what I mean? Like you would ask your friends over like an expert.
But then, and also, I don't look at that as like high risk advice. So that's like in my mind, that was like asking you.
Is buying a car high risk advice?
Yes.
Yeah.
But in my mind, asking you for a chiropractor was like asking you where to go for dinner. Like, you know?
As you're in pain, keeling over and saying, "Please help me."
It's fine. Whereas something to do with my career, I'm only taking advice from someone who I A, trust, and also B, the other one, expert. Yeah. So I need to know that they are the full package because don't get me wrong, I know that I'm not the worst media member. Some people will disagree. So, like, I'm not going to take advice from any media member. Like, I would take advice from Weege as well.
Yeah.
If Weege told me, if Weege or Steve pulled me aside and told me how I could be better at something, I would put full stock in it and I would not question it.
Yeah. And if I pulled you aside, you'd be like, "Bugger off."
I'd be like, Kellen, honestly, I need a break.
But why I said I agree with your side of this as opposed to that is, yeah, I tend to lean more on people that I consider close to me for advice, regardless of the situation. Like, yeah, maybe like buying a house, not, but yeah, most of the time I'm like, do you guys know somebody? Because I'm trying to figure this out.
To go back to the car advice, when I requested advice from this person, I was looking for the best car for me long term. What happened was it became so drastic that in the end, I didn't care what car it was. I was looking for the best short-term investment that I could flip in a year's time.
And you feel that you did your job.
Well, I've got warranty, which will make it easier to sell. I've got low mileage, which will make it easier to sell. I've got dealership records, which will make it easier to sell. So in my mind, that will help.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. Fair point. We went a little long on that topic. I didn't set a timer because I needed to read the text, so I didn't get a chance to set the timer. But that's okay. We went a little long because we hit exactly an hour of the podcast.
This has become the Attack Lewis show.
I didn't try to attack you. I was trying to agree with you on this.
Hey, Kellen, I don't agree with this person, but this person thinks you're a dick.
No, but I wasn't trying to attack you. I was trying to help you agree with the situation. I was literally trying to help you, and now you're coming back.
Hey, Kellen, I don't agree with this person, but this person says you murdered 5 people last week.
Is that not what Steve did, reading out?
Debate.
Steve last night on the show read out an email of someone attacking me and said, "Kellen, I don't necessarily agree with this, but what do you think?"
I was really happy he read that out because on Twitter he only shares the comments that slag me off, so I was really happy to see it go the other way.
Yeah, well, look, I got called out for once, so there you go.
Yeah, it's not nice, is it?
Not really.
Now you know how it feels to be the victim.
Well, apologies, Lewis. I was trying to agree with you, but yeah. So that's episode 3 of LVK More Than Moto. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Lewis, thank you for stopping by again and debating, and hopefully you're okay with the topics we discussed today.
I preferred this week's episode to last week's.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you're very keen to talk about the status of media in the sport. And
Can you imagine what it's like in my head?
So we kind of had a media podcast a little bit, but yeah, good stuff. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and big shout out, of course, to EVS Sports, Namura, and Race Tech for backing the show. This week coming up, A2 Triple Crown. We're gonna have a lot of fun topics to discuss after that. Lewis and I will both be there again this weekend, and looking forward to talking about that and more after Anaheim 2. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. See ya next week.